today we are going to be taking a look at a Kickstarter prototype. Kickstarter that I believe starts at the end of the month. I'll make sure that we have the information in the bottom of in all the comments and everything. But it's called Rune Deathbinder. And the interesting thing about this, it is you are pushing fate and things like that. It really does some really neat things that really fascinated me. And it also had some things where I kind of went, Well, without further ado, let's go down to the table and take a look at Rune's Deathbinder. Okay, so I'm not going to explain everything, all the rules and everything, but I'm going to give you a good gist of what's going on and how fascinating this game is. You're going to have action cards, and you're going to be able to use those to do your attacking with. But what you're going to be doing is you're trying to get down to here, to this very ending of this dungeon, should we call it. You have to keep moving forward. You can't go backwards. You can go to side, you can go to a side, but you always have to keep on moving downwards, no matter how you do it. Or you could try to go right straight down the middle, which isn't always advisable either, depending on what you see on these icons. Now, there's a lot of different things that happen, and we'll talk about that in a bit. But once you get down here, you're going to face a boss, and boy, do they have some doozy for bosses. I mean, just take a look at the art on this, and look how fantastic this is. This is just unbelievable art. And a lot of this stuff you're not going to understand what it means, but I'll tell you very quickly. Here is any kind of ability that they can do. This is how many experience points they're going to be worth once they're killed. Over here is their weaknesses. You will times whatever damage you do to them by this number. So some of them might be more vulnerable to magic, which is on this side, than compared to melee. So if that was a 2 and you did 2 damage, well, 2 times 2, yeah, you got it. 4. So you would do 4 damage, so it would be down to 26. The name of the creature, of course, some of the special rewards that you're going to get and the experience that you're going to get and things like that. These bosses are nasty, but you don't have to worry about them because you got to work your way down to them, and you're going to be fighting enemies. There are going to be different enemies for level 1, level 2, and level 3 types of enemies, and as you progress, you will fight harder enemies. Now, the real neat thing is how this works, is picking an area to go. So say we start here. Well, this little symbol here is an event. So we would get an event and we would negotiate the event. Now, for instance, here, this is the old armory. To search, make a faith toss. Now, making a toss is one of the things that you're going to take a pog. You're going to take a pog and you're going to flip it. And if it lands on, say, that check mark, as we just saw, well, guess what? We're going to do what it says on the check mark. Draw and store 2 skill cards. So you would draw from the skill cards, which are going to give you all kinds of benefits to help you. I mean, one's going to be treat a wound. It's a single use only. Some of them are permanents and things like that that are going to help you on this fantastic venture. One of the things I don't care for is the pogs. I wish they were just dice. I wish there was 3 checks and 3 things and I could roll it instead of doing that. See, okay, well, if that's the only thing I got to complain about, that's fine. So after I would complete this event, well, guess what? We turn over the pog and we negotiate whatever it says, gain 2 XP. So you would gain 2 XP. So here we have XP, and as you go up to XP, once we get 6 XP, we would get a skill, and so forth and so on. Now, once we continue on, you're going to see that the pogs are going to do different things. There's going to be more symbols on here. This is an event, and then after you resolve the event, you're going to go to an encounter. Once you finish the encounter, you would be able to flip this over and then continue to move on. Some of them have rest, where you have a double encounters and then a time to rest to recharge everything, which is really good. But some of them have encounter. And what happens on an encounter? Well, very simple. You're going to turn over a card and you're going to negotiate that particular villain. Now, for instance, here we have to fight this dude, okay? And here it says incompetence underneath for him. After attacking, the target loses 1 experience point. So we would lose 1 experience point. So say we had 5, well, guess what? Once we attack him, we would do 5. How do we attack him back? Well, we're going to be playing these cards, these action cards, that we're going to have in our hand, and we're going to decide which ones we're going to use. Well, since we're level 1, we're going to use this. But underneath, there's things that are going to do different things and add to it. So you're going to have, like, after using this card, remove it from the game so it actually goes away, where you can actually store a card instead. And here you would take 2, and because it says ×3 triple attack, that's 6, and as you can see, we would have defeated him and we would have got experience. Well, we also would have lost experience, so we would have gotten no experience. So guess what? He's dead and we get no experience. There's also a mechanism that during while you're doing all this, there's ways to take taint, which is going to harm you, and there's ways to take taint away. When you get attacked back, okay, and say he goes to attack you, and say he does 2 damage to you, well, you're going to have a shield. Okay, and say we just had 1 shield, okay, and he attacks you for 2 damage. Your shield would go down to 0, and then after that you would go to your health and you would start losing health. Once you lose your health, guess what? You die. Rest actions, you're going to be able to heal, increase immunity, buy action cards to help you, and you're going to be removing cards that you don't like. The game's going to continue until you get all the way down, and then of course negotiate the boss. If you're able to defeat the boss, guess what? You win. A very great, you could play it 2-player or you could play it solo. Either way, it's a very unique experience. Like I said, I was very intrigued. You can start, once you start leveling up and you can buy levels, you can spend your experience points to help your defense. Max your health out, store more cards, max your actions out, okay? Instead of 2 actions, you have 3 actions. Melee tier, spell tier. So you're going to be adding to all this stuff. You're going to be able to use the higher spells to negotiate the higher level enemies. And of course, character leveling himself, you're going to go all the way up to 3. So you're trying to spend this, balance your character, and do all these fantastic things while trying to negotiate your way down this dungeon and deal with just a ton. I mean, there are just, some of these creatures are just ridiculous. I'm going to show you some because they're just so doggone cool. Corrupt spiders. Like spiders weren't corrupt already, but now they're really corrupt. Gurlins, parasitic munchers, raised bow bearers, raised sword bearers, and the art's absolutely fantastic. It's very thematic. You feel that you're going down a dungeon, and I really, really like this. This is coming to Kickstarter very soon, and like I said, we will put in our comments when it starts, and we will make you aware when it starts. But I really think this is something special. These components are just prototype again, and even at prototype, they're absolutely beautiful. So let's send it on top and get on out of here. I like this. The only thing that I don't care for is I would have rather had a die for each one of the checks instead of flipping a pog. It feels empty. I don't like flipping a pog. I'd rather roll a die, even if you had 3 blanks and 3 sides. Just an easy a couple of 6-sided die with different symbols on each one of the dies. Maybe it's not cost effective. The pog thing just didn't do it for me, and it's just too easy to drop it, or you know, at least the die, it's going to bounce and move. Pog is just going to go boom. And I just find that anticlimactic. There's no tension, there's no nothing to that. Other than that, I do love some of the things that this does, and how you're going down that tree and trying to defeat these enemies, and taking special quests on the side and stuff like that. Really interesting, and does a lot of things, getting taint and how that affects things and stuff like that. Just all in all, a very interesting game, and I really like it. But let's get some dice in there. It's only in prototype, so like I said, these aren't the final components, so I hope they take my advice here and do the dice. That'd be cool. Fund it and go over the funding so we can get dice. There you go. Until next time, it's your old pal Rob. We'll see you soon.